Welcome to Canadian Innovators, the show that celebrates innovation, entrepreneurs, and the Canadian spirit. I'm Ruth Lewis. Jocelyn Bamford is on assignment. Every week, we introduce a new entrepreneur or expert in their field to tell their story. Today on the program, we are pleased to be joined by Santiago Costa, lawyer and founder of Bayfront Law, a real estate and corporate law firm serving folks across Ontario. Hey, Santiago.
Hey, Ruth, how are you?
Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm really looking forward to hearing about your career and the business that you've built with Bayfront. Before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about the path that led you to where you are today. What were
Sure.
your interests as a younger person, and was law sort of always the path that you thought you'd go down?
I think on some level, I knew that law was going to be available to me. Um, it probably took a little while to kind of figure it out, find my way. But as a young kid, I was a very heavy reader, and I always had a book or a newspaper in my hand. I was always late on overdue library books, and so in retrospect, because it's not so much the case that I was always kind of heading towards law, I can kind of see that I was developing the core skill set, sort of that curiosity, the reading comprehension, the argument formation, that sort of stuff.
Awesome. And where did you go to school, both for your undergrad and then law school?
I did my undergrad at Hamilton in McMaster in political science. After that, I went to England for law school, and then back here for a master's in international business law at Osgoode Hall.
Wow, that's amazing. And we have that political science McMaster background in common.
Ah,
So, in your early years as a lawyer, and even today, did you and do you have a mentor or someone that you've always looked up to help shape your path?
certainly. The profession of law is one where a lot of people you're looking at a lot of different people. You're learning on the job, and so you're trying to emulate the things that you see are effective. And so there are many people that I could reference as far as big influences, but by far the strongest who I would suggest is has played a role as a mentor is Janice Krieger, and she was my articling principal. And so, really early days taught me a lot about ethics and the practice of law, and it was a great experience.
That's awesome. So, we know that now you have your own firm, but I don't think that that's where you started. Can you tell me a little bit about the early years of your career before that happened?
Certainly. So I'd come back from England, and I was kind of gaining all the experience I could. I was working as duty counsel in family and criminal courthouses. I even did some work in refugee law for a bit before starting my articles. And then ultimately, I worked about shade under 10 years with two of Hamilton's kind of larger law firms, and I was actually a litigator for all this time. And it was, one of those situations where you describe it being a sort of sink or swim sort of situation, and sometimes it was more sink than swim, but it was a great foundation, and it was a really good learning experience.
So, what was your day to day like then? Were you working all the time?
Yeah, so it would have been, it was part of a team. It was a civil litigation team that dealt with a large variety of commercial disputes. And so working in a team with those lawyers. And then I'm lucky in that in my career, I've been the kind of lawyer that went to court more than I'd say is probably average. And so it would be from time to time I would be in a court arguing motions or trials or that sort of thing.
Wow, that's super interesting and sounds a little bit different from what you're doing these days. I've really loved hearing about your background and sort of what led you to this point. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we're going to talk to Santiago a little bit more about how he changed directions and decided to open his own law firm. Thanks so much, Santiago.
Of
Looking
course.
forward to talking more with you.